Hello everyone, welcome back to the series on programming robot mechanics. In this video, we are going to visualize the robot frames. All right, before starting on, I noticed one more error that we made in some of the previous videos. I think previous video, we have this I minus 1 over here and it should be I. Now let's see why it should be I. In this function transform, we are given a link name and some transformation, the list of parameters that we want to adjust. So we get the link index using the link name, and then we iterate over the starting from 0 till the link index and run a loop. Okay, now I represents the current link that we are on. So link underscore 0 is link is 0, I equals 0, link underscore 0, I equals 1, link underscore 1, and so on. And we need to access these values qi because we need to access the same link underscore 0. We need to access the 0th parameter and so on. That's how we are structured it. Now this code, when we are writing I equals 0, this code interprets this as q minus 1. This implies that we simply take the last element of the q vector that we passed. Now the question may come that why did the tests work then? Now this is a problem that we needed to take care of. While testing, we should not provide trivial values. Instead, our test cases should be in such a way that they are very, very non-trivial, like completely edge cases, some middle cases as well, but completely edge cases and not some slight and simple examples. We made this mistake in the test while we were making them. We just, in the test transform function, we gave the robot Q to get configuration 0.1, 0.1, 0.1. Now this is a very trivial kind of configuration and everything and every angle is the same. If we change any of this over here, like 0.2 or 0.3, then this test case would look fine. And this is how it should be. Otherwise, the test case will run even when the code is running wrong. So that's what we need to take care of next time when we are doing it. Right, now I'll make these changes in the background when I'm not making the video. These changes will take some amount of time and they are not like worth putting on video now since we have made the test cases. It is something that we need to consider in the future, that the value should be non-trivial. Okay, now let's get to the part where we are going to code today. Okay, now we need to write a plot function. We are going to write this in the robot class. Okay, let's add some documentation for it first. Okay, let's define the function now. So we have defined, we have written a lot of code before. We are just going to reuse it. First, we are going to try and assert the size, which we have over here. It's a simple check. And now we are going to iterate over the links starting from 0. We did not put it right. Okay. All right, now, yes, so we needed to go till the end. So we will take the copy of length, and 0 is kind of not required. It's the same thing with 0 without 0. And we are going to introduce a transformations list, and we are going to put every transformation that we get inside this list. First, we will be appending this identity transformation, and then we are going to append every other transformation that we get. Right, now we have a list of transformations that we are going to plot. Okay, now the visualization function, there are two ways to do it. I am thinking of two ways that it can be done. Either we can put it as a private function inside robot, or we can write a separate function for it in the visualize file, which looks a better way, although both the ways are quite similar. Right. The reason that we are having a function, other function, and not using directly the plot function over here is we require this to be separate. This will just modularize the code a little bit, so we don't have all the information that we require in a single function and overload the function like this. So we are going to define a different function in, I think we will do it in Visual Actor, right? So let's do that. It's almost going to be similar. So I'll just copy and paste it and we'll do the required changes. Okay, now we have this and okay. So what we are going to do, we are going to iterate over transformations. Yeah, for transformation in transformation. So the list that we passed, we are just going to iterate over it. And we are going to assign XYZ and UVW using that and the colors array as well. So let's define something for those. We are going to keep that empty. Similarly for Y and for all till UVW. So let's do this. All right, now we have this and okay. Now we are going to call np.concatenate. What will this will do? It will, what concatenate does, right, one mistake that we need to avoid. It takes in a list and it concatenates the different elements of the list. For instance, we have X over here and suppose we have something called 1, 2, 3 over here. Then it is going to concatenate X. Likely we can say it's going to append these elements in the end of X. That's what it's going to do. All right, now similar to the thing that we have done previously, for each of the arrow, for each of the frame, we are going to have 3 arrows. Therefore, we need to copy all this information 3 times, at least in X, Y, and Z. UVW is going to be a little separate, but in this, we need to put these 3 values 3 times. A single value is going to go in there 3 times. Right, so it looks right, okay. And we're going to do similar for X, Y, Z, all of them. So we're done with the X, Y, Z. Now we are going to do the same, not exactly the same, but something similar with UVW as well. We are going to call np.concatenate. We are going to put in a list and a U first, and then we are going to put this thing. This transformation :3. This is going to be a single thing because this is a sublist. Kind of a sublist. This is a list in itself. So it has 3 values in itself. So it's a list containing 3 values. In this, we had a single value. That's why we had to copy it. But in this case, we are going to have 3 values coming in all together. That's why we don't require that copying thing over here. So let's do this for V and W as well. So we're done with the UV and W. Now we do the same for colors. Now we can simply append the colors thing. Just red, green, and blue. Now we need to define them first. We will define them above. First, we'll just append them. RGB, right? And we have this. Okay, now we can define this above and then put them over there. Right, and we are going to, all right. Now all these transformations X, Y, Z, and UVW are defined and along with their colors. Now we're just going to quiver plot, make their quiver plot. Now this is the dashed line that we also need to change. We need to iterate over this, but in a different way. What we will do is for I in range len x dot shape 0. So we are going to iterate over all of these, but the pattern that we should note is something like 0. That's going to denote 0 and then 3. So I and I plus 3. So for every 3, for every 3 XYZ, we put that. Like for the initial, like something, it's going to be something like this. The origin is going to be an array like this, and the next frame, let's suppose, is going to be something like this. So this is the X array. Now for every first, we need to select the third one in order to make a line across them. So that's the pattern that we need to follow. We will do this. And before doing that, we are also going to put -3 over here. Like we don't need length. Right, -3. Because we want to go till the end, but not choose the end. Like we need to go till the second last and plot a line to the last. That's what we need to do. Okay, let's do this I plus 3. And yeah, similarly for Y and Z as well. Okay, so this is done. Now we are going to run this or test it, anything. Now for testing, we are going to use this kind of a robot. Now, any robot with this configuration, like the coordinate axis separated like this and modeled like this, we call this a Puma robot, a Puma type configuration robot. Now, the Puma type robot rest are like this, like X1 are going to be something like this, X2 are going to be something like this, X3 something like this, frame 3, not X3, frame 3 something like this, frame 4 something like this, and 5 and 6 are almost some kind of similar thing. Right, now this kind of configuration has a particular DH parameter table, which is something over here. So we are simply going to copy this DH parameter and parameter table and visualize that. So let's do this. All right, we are inside the main.py file. We are simply going to initialize our robot using the DH parameters that we're going to define. So let's do this. I'll fast forward this section. And now we are going to call the plot function. Oh, before that, we need the Q parameter. And also, we have not yet fully defined the plot function. We need to make some changes over there. So we need to do gain configurations and let's do it 60° for all. Right, so let's do it 60° for all angles. Now, this is not an explicit like stress testing thing that we discussed a little while back. We can have similar values over here because we are just observing what the output is, and we are not doing a very stressful testing over here. Right. Dot pi by 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so we are done, and then we can pass in the Q. Now, first of all, let's import in this robot.py file. We are going to import the function plot transformation. Oh, we didn't change the name over there. It's going to be plot transformations. And right. And now we're going to call the plot transformations function over here. Oh, transformations. Okay, everything looks good. So what in the visualize, in the visualize function, we are going to get 7 frames since we have added 1 as the origin frame as well. Where is it? Yeah, over here. We have added an identity frame or base frame, we can say. So we're going to get degree of freedom plus 1 number of frames. Let's run it and see what the output is and fix any errors that come along the way. Okay, so this is something that we are getting. Okay. Looks a little difficult to debug since we are having lines all over the place over here. Like starting from there, we are going till the end. So we need to fix that as well. Let's see how we can do that. And okay, let's okay, in order to evaluate the performance, like we are not able to really judge anything from this, like what is this? Right, we are not able to judge anything better. So we will be adding the DH parameters one by one. That will help us to see what the whole thing is doing. Right. We are going to comment this, and now we are going to run this again. Now we have a what is this? Assert length of joint values. Okay, we need to pass only a single one in this case. I think maybe, yeah. All right, now we have a center frame that is looking okay, and then we have another frame that is rotated by 60°, right? And that looks okay, that looks fine. Now let's add another one also. This another joint that has an alpha of 90. So it's just going to rotate it and then again doing that. Okay, let's see how this goes. np.pi by 3. Okay. Yeah, so it is rotated by 90°. We can see RGB. XYZ. Yeah, B is seen over here and then rotated by 60°. So it does kind of look okay. Yeah. All right, this is fine. Now we will be opening up this as well. So this is going to apply some distance to our original file, original frames. Yeah, and this is what it has done. So it has applied some distance to it. So as we can see that it is fairly located some distance away from it. Okay, now I think we can start comparing it with the actual robot that we have. Right. Now the base frame is something over here. Now there is some kind of what we can say a little bit of convention difference. That's why the frames are looking a bit odd, we can say. But I'll discuss that in a bit. But before we can just check like whether it's working fine or not. Then we have the first base frame. And then we have this frame X1 that is rotated by 60 degrees because we rotated the theta by 60 degrees. That's over here. And then we have this next frame that is just the same frame but rotated, like the z axis is overlapping the y axis. So it's something similar, and we have 60 degrees rotated. And then we have a new frame that is located some distance away from it, some distance above across this along this z1, and some distance along this x1. So we can see that this is happening. The difference like here is like the A and D, like they have adjusted a slightly different values. That's why we are seeing that in the air, and the other one that is like closer to it. Okay, now let's add the next frame that we have. And we'll add np dot pi by 3. Okay. Right, once again, that is the same issue that we had before. Not an issue, but a convention difference kind of thing. Like this, the next frame, y, x4, y4, z4, they're also doing the same thing, but due to the difference in A and D values, like the way that they have adjusted, we are going to get something similar, but not exactly the same. So it is doing its job perfectly fine. And then it's rotated by 60 degrees. Let me check. Okay, I see the error now. Like it is kind of error. It is an error, I can say. Right. The error is we are not like the z-axis. We can see that is up over there, and this is not over here. Now I think I see where the error would be. What we needed to do was we needed to multiply the transformations and then append them. That is like yeah, a sequence of transformations, and then we can append them. So we are going to define, because the previous an ith frame is dependent on the 0 till I minus 1th frame, so it actually has to multiply each and every one of it to get to that location. That's how transformations work. So my bad, we just made a small mistake over here. What we are going to do, we are going to put I minus 1 over here. I minus 1, no, we are simply going to put I over here, right? And then we will be multiplying that by self dot underscore transform IQI. And this will work, yeah. And then we can put in the transformation over here. Now let's see how this works. Okay, made a mistake, no problem. Okay, now they say the object is not subscriptable. Now let's see. Oh, okay, the not the square brackets but the round brackets thing. Okay, let's see. All right, now we have some difference. Now let's compare it with the z. Now the thing about A and D, that is going to be all right, because the A and D values specified are not very similar to the ones that they have specified over there. So let's first see the zero axis. We have the zero axis over here, and then now it's going a bit down. Okay, I think we can deal with that, but the z-axis is pointing the direction that we need to point, like sideways. And then yeah, it's rotated by 60 degrees. Okay, that seems fine. And then the z-axis is pointing towards the bottom. Okay, that doesn't seem like the case to me. Okay, so the problem was not with the code, but with the theta value that we put. Since we put 60-degree theta value, we are not getting something similar to this, but now we can see that the z axis are kind of similar to that, like what we need. So it was not a problem in the code, it's working fine, but since we are putting theta 60-degree, that's why what we were seeing was something slightly off. Okay, now we are going to put other two values as well, one by one, not everyone, one at a time. Okay, now we have this, and yeah, it's all right because there are no a and d values over here, so it's just overlapping. And then the other one is also going to overlap in some way or another. It's going to overlap. Then we put this, and okay, all right, 1 0 is missing. Okay, now it seems all right. Yeah, this is how a Puma robot should be looking like. Yeah, if we adjust the theta, we can get different values. Let's just try some value like, okay, let's do one thing. In this robot, we can rotate this second value. So it will just form like an arrow above, and we can do something like this, some kind of like this configuration. Let's try that. Let's see how that goes. And before that, right, let's see. Before that, we can make this a little bit better. How we can do this is, that's okay. So we need a ratio of distances, something like this, or I don't know. Yeah, a ratio something like this. Let's try this. Let's just add the a and d value, something similar to what we have above, and let's see how the robot looks then. Okay, it looks kind of similar, not much difference. Okay, we'll work with this. Okay, so let's try to create that configuration that we thought of, np.pi/3, and we are going to put over here minus np.pi/3. Let's see something works or not. Okay, doesn't look very well. All right, let's add np.pi/3 over here, and let's see how that works. Little difficult to understand, but yeah, it does look something kind of like this. What we can do, one thing, we can add negative over here as well and see what the results are. Yeah, it looks something kind of like what we like, something above and going down, some kind of configuration like that. Yeah. All right, cool. Now the thing why these frames are looking a bit odd compared to the photo that we have, like over here, is because the frame reference is kind of arbitrary. So like we can see the first frame that we have, it's not starting from the actual base, but it's starting from some offset. So this kind of evaluation of frames is something common in this robot kinematics. That's why it makes it a slightly confusing, like why is this assignment done something like this? But the frame assignment, it is correct according to theoretical values, right? Practically it can differ a little bit. When we add robot models, actual SDF or SDK, right, STL, right? If we add proper STL models, then it will look slightly better and we are going to able to visualize it properly. So that's how it's going to be. All right, so we have finally implemented the visualization part. One thing that we can add more to this is we can add sliders as well, like for the theta values or for prismatic joint, those are going to be a values. We can add sliders to the plot as well. That will in that way we do not require to change the code over here again and again, but we can adjust the slider values like this and get the results that we want. Yeah, that's something similar that RViz in ROS also does it, something similar to that, not exactly this, but we can do that in the coming videos or so. So in the next video, I think we are done with this forward kinematics part. In the next video, I think we are done with the visualization as well. We are going to work on inverse kinematics. Now that is a slightly tough problem compared to the forward kinematics, and it has some algorithms that we need to look into for that. So let's see what we get in the next video. All right, see you in the next video then. Bye.